Okay, so today's day 2. I'm gonna hopefully get a couple of questions down and work on the timer. I have a couple of ideas for what I want to do with the timer, which I probably should have thought of yesterday, but that's okay. You live and you learn. And so yeah, let's kind of get this started and see what we can get done. So I'm going to start working on this. So longest substring without repeating characters. So ABC stops there. B is 1. I see. So any character. So if we start reading this in A, B doesn't repeat inside of there, C doesn't repeat inside of there, A is equivalent to that, so we cut and say 3. P, W, so that's 2, W, K, E, W, so that's 3 there. B, A, B, C, A, so it repeats. B, C, A, B, that's 3. C, A, B, C, that's 3. A, B, C, B, repeats. B, C, repeats. C, B, repeats. B, repeats. B, repeats. I need to do this for every single one. The answer must be a substring. PWK. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I ran something here before. I didn't know. So at some point in the past, I had started this problem. I didn't know. I think what I was, not what I was doing, but I don't remember what I was writing at the time. So I just kind of deleted it, and we're starting from scratch. And we'll see how this goes. All right. Okay, so oh, there's timers up here. Cool. I did not know that. Here's a good example of time complexity here. So when I tried to do this, I wrote this little ditty, but it essentially, since I'm iterating through every single character and then iterating through it again, the time exponentially goes up with the length of the input. So on this original one that I submitted, you can see 986 out of 987. Great, but the second they gave me the maximum length test that they could, that's when time limit was exceeded and it took too long. So instead of repeatedly going through every single one, and I added this as a test case over here, instead of going through every single one, which works great for smaller substrings, there's no, or smaller substrings, smaller strings, there's no reason that you can't do that. Obviously, if you get to something that's longer, it's going to take a really long time. So yeah, we're gonna delete that. That was the old one, and this is what I have for the more optimized one. And essentially, we're creating a window that's moving along with every single character inside of there. It's effectively doing the same kind of thing, but instead of going through the entire string for every single character, we're just going through it the once. So because we're doing the once over, everything's much faster. So when we try this, there you go. That's significantly faster. That's surprising that it beats 79%. I guess a lot of other people are doing stuff. If we weren't in Python, iterating through every single character on the string probably wouldn't have taken that long. But Python's a notoriously slow language, so that's kind of why we were having issues with it, but that's okay. Yeah, so I'll do a second problem, and then I'll move on to the stuff. Whatever, you know what I mean. Okay, median of two sorted arrays. Notice 1, 2, the size of m, and return the median of the two sorted arrays. So 1, 3, and 2 is 2. Right. So we're just finding the median. Okay. I mean, that doesn't sound too complicated. Let's see what we can figure it out. Okay, so for the second one here, pretty simple. Fun little trick here is that when you're looking at lists, so you have your two lists. Here's our merged list. We're gonna sort it because of course we want to just find the two center ones. So like if you look at the description here, so 1, 2, and 3, your median is going to be whatever your middle is. So that's 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to want to take those two and then divide them by 2, and that's what gives you 2.5. So on an unknown length, we're going to sort it, and then we want to know where the middle is. So essentially, we're going to grab that integer. So maybe the middle of all of this says that it's 2.5. So this is going to give us 2. And then this little tilde here is going to invert it. So we're going to get this number because we're looking at it from the negative perspective. So it's going to wrap around, and it's going to give us like this -2. So instead of 2, -2. Not quite exactly how that works, but I think 2's 3 or something like that. But regardless, essentially what we're doing is we're going to wrap it around, and we're going to grab that value. So that's our little trick. And if it is the same number, like this, 1, 2, so it'll just add them together and divide it by 2 anyways. So you're going to get that. The reason that we're dividing by float 2 is because we want that decimal point. If we remove that and we just say 2, everything is an integer, so we're going to get this wrong, right? Because it's just going to give us 2. So we want something in here to be a 2, or to be a float. So we're just kind of forcing that other one to be a float, and then when we run it, works just fine. So that's our 2 problems for today. And then we're going to look at, what are we going to look at? We're going to look at our timer and our Kanban board. So I had an idea. I don't know. I think I'm going to go through on it. That idea is I'm going to make this stuff into a web app. So the reason that I'm going to make this into a web app, well, that's really slow. Uh, the reason that I'm going to make this into a web app is because that way I can just kind of go to one location and it'll have all the tools that I need for all of this. So I'm going to work on maybe like a Blazor web app, since I'm wanting to keep this as like in the Azure stack. Blazor.net, it all just kind of works together. And yeah, we're gonna do that. So I'm going to set up my project and start on the Blazor aspect. I thought this might be something that people would want to see, so I'm just gonna show this. So when I go into my Visual Studio and I'm looking for a project, there's two kinds of things that I can do with this. I can set up, I guess three technically. I can set up Blazor web app, so this is everything. This is server and client. I can set up something that's server side, or I can set up something that's more client side, that WebAssembly kind of thing. I doesn't really matter to me which one. I think I might do a server app just to make things a little easier. And we'll try this and see how that goes. Okay, after a quick reboot and everything, I figured I'd tell you where I am and why I got a costume change here. So I ran the basic server app. Actually, I guess I could show you why I did server app over the other. Blazor server app. There's a couple of different models for Blazor. I find this is something that's really easy for people to understand. So Blazor server, everything we're gonna do is server side. For me, that's easy to figure out. I like server side style stuff. WebAssembly would be all on the client, and that can be better too. It just kind of depends on what you want. And of course, they have a version where you have both server and client side code. Everything has a little server and client side code. It's just a matter of where a lot of stuff is computed. And yeah, I like this model personally. For most things, I find this to be the easiest. Just as far as we're talking about how to code it, for me, this is the easiest one. Not saying I don't want to give myself a challenge or anything, but yeah, I think it just kind of makes the most amount of sense for what I'm looking at least. And anyway, so I ran this, and normally we should see this basic hello world web app. But I was getting certificate errors, and I was trying to figure out why I was getting certificate errors. My localhost cert was indeed installed, and it was still erroring out. And it just goes to show, sometimes the best thing you can do is just restart. So I restarted, and everything worked fine. So while it was restarting, I did a little bit of a load of laundry and came back, and everything's working. So I did pretty much burn through most of my time doing that, so just troubleshooting. So it kind of goes to show sometimes you have the best intentions, but unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes. So that's okay. We have the basics of this up and running, um, and tomorrow we'll come in and we'll get this timer and this kanban started. And if I have some time tonight and I'm bored, I might even work on it. But for now, I think just setting this up was good, and I'll get working on it tomorrow. So hey, sometimes you don't get as much done as you want, and that's just life. But either way, we got the program or the project started and running, and that's the big thing. So we got our hello world. Whoops, we got our hello world going. That's the important thing right now. So, all right, tomorrow, here we come.